Welcome to Improv for the Podcast. On this week's episode, we'll hear from Sky Liam Patterson about his improvisational journey. We'll play a couple games and most importantly, learn how he improved his life. Let's hit it. Welcome to Improv for the Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Lee Evans, and today we are joined by the immensely talented Sky Liam Patterson. Thank you so much for joining us today, Sky. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm good. That's one of the more generous intros I've received.
Good. You know, we always try and butter up our guests here at Improv for the Podcast. Yeah. It's our first move. We're just really trying to earn a new sign that fully lights up. So whatever it takes.
I support that.
Yeah. And also, you are immensely talented. That just happens to be true.
Thank you.
It happens to be true. All right, Sky. Well, we're so glad to have you here today. We're going to jump into our interview in just a moment. But before we do, as always, we're going to play a little improv game called Three Things. Have you ever played that game before, Sky?
I have played that game before,
Excellent.
Michael.
Excellent. Now, there is a bit of a twist that we like to do here on the podcast. We play three things, but it's personal. So these categories that I'm going to be throwing at you, you're going to list things that might have to do with something about your personal life. That's what makes it interesting.
Okay.
Anything you need from me, Sky?
The first category.
The first category. I like a guest who is prepared. Here we go. These are three things. Best fruits.
Watermelon.
1.
Bananas.
2.
Apples.
3. These are three things. Your favorite words in Mandarin.
很好.
1.
美女.
2.
帅哥.
3.
These are three things.
Ooh. Favorite weapons you know how to use.
Favorite weapons. Broadsword.
1.
Staff.
2.
Bullwhip.
3. These are three things. Oh my goodness. That was amazing. You were ready to go. See, we like to do our research here at Improv for the Podcast.
Yeah, nice categories.
Yeah. We personalize them, right? That's what's good about it. All right, guys. So I got a couple questions for you. I mean, right off the bat, your top 3 fruits, excellent choices. I myself am a banana man, so I appreciate you choosing that.
Got to have the potassium every day, and I was eating some watermelon today. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe how good it was.
Delicious. Now, are you one of those people, you just like slice it up? You got one of those little things that makes like the watermelon balls?
I'm not that sophisticated.
Yeah.
This was, it was like a half watermelon that I bought, so it's real easy just to slice that and eat it, bite straight into it.
Oh, man, you're selling it right now. You're selling it.
I know. It was cold out of the fridge.
In this hot room already. I'm sweating.
Yeah.
But
I'll join you.
If I were biting into a watermelon, I'd be a happy man. All right. Well, thank you for sharing that, Sky. All right. So next I got to ask you, you listed 3 words in Mandarin for me.
I did.
Can you tell me the translation for those words?
Yeah. The first one, well, it was actually 2 words. It was 很好, which means very good. That's anytime you're having a conversation, well, this goes for English too, but hopefully if you're having a conversation with someone in English, you can understand mostly what they're saying.
Sure.
If you're having a conversation with someone in Mandarin and you don't understand everything they're saying, you just go like, 对, which means like, oh yeah, right. Or,
okay.
好, 很好, which means like good, very good.
Yeah.
And you just kind of, it's, what is that, positive reinforcement, active listening. Yeah, so I'd probably say that one a lot.
Write those conversation notes down, people.
Yeah, and I think the second word was 美女, which means a beautiful woman. It's a good one to know, especially in my line of work. I host a lot of beauty pageants.
Oh, yeah, that's a key one.
Yeah, and then the third one, actually, these are all 2 words.
Okay.
But the third one was 帅哥, which means handsome man.
Oh,
and
handsome man.
Yeah, and you know what? Everybody's a handsome man, I think. Or if you are a non-Chinese person who speaks Chinese, I think it automatically makes you a handsome man.
Wow.
Oh
my goodness.
We get it a lot.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know. So you are ready for any romantic situation then? You're a handsome man, beautiful woman, you're good to go.
Exactly. That's right. Yeah. It's like filling out a Mad Lib, right? One beautiful woman, one handsome man.
Very good.
Very good.
Yeah,
exactly.
Amazing. Okay. And jump into that third category. So I did a little bit of background research on Sky here before he came on the show. And Sky is I mean, beyond, proficient is not a good enough word. A multi-talented weapon-wielding martial arts master, I mean, is the best way I can put it. So I saw you had a weapons reel on your website.
Yeah. Well, it's a martial arts reel, but yeah, I have some weapons on there.
Okay. Yeah, and I saw that and I was like, oh my gosh, we got to talk about this. This is awesome. I did Taekwondo growing up, but
Really?
It didn't stick. I think they let us get our black belts too early.
Interesting.
I was 12 when I got my black belt.
Okay.
I don't know what happened after that. I think I just fell off, and other things.
Where else is there to go? Right.
Yeah, well,
when you reach
exactly.
the top.
Exactly. I peaked too soon. I peaked in middle school, I guess.
Oh, you're not the only one.
Fair. So I want to ask about kind of your journey. Before we talk about improv, who cares about that? I want to talk about your journey, your experience with martial arts a little bit. I'd love to hear about that.
Yeah. Well, when I was a little kid, I was just very kind of bookish, always focused on. I said this the other day in an improv class for the question of the day, and I think it was our friend of the podcast, Annie Rose.
Yes, friend of the podcast, Annie Rose.
Laughed in my face because I told her I was a nerd growing up, but I was, just focused on school, basically. I was not athletic at all. And I decided that I wanted to pick up a new hobby. And I had never tried martial arts. I watched a Bruce Lee movie with my brother. And he said, well, if you want to try martial arts, you should do Chinese Kung Fu, because that's what Bruce Lee did.
Yeah.
And there's a lot, he did a lot of martial arts, but he started with a variation of Kung Fu. So I just Googled, I lived in Portland, Oregon. That's where I grew up. And I Googled Portland Chinese Kung Fu schools.
I mean, yeah.
And I found one, and I signed up, and I just I took to it like a moth to a flame. I just was attracted, and I couldn't stop. And I started going 5 days a week, 6 days a week. I started teaching. And then right before I went to college, I read this book called American Shaolin. Shout out to author Matthew Polly.
Matthew Polly, future friend of the podcast.
Future friend of the podcast. He does a lot of podcasts.
All right.
He's a great guy. He also wrote a great biography of Bruce Lee, too.
Oh, okay.
And he was a student at Princeton in like 1991, and he dropped everything, and he moved to China, and he lived at the Shaolin Temple for 2 years.
Wow.
And he spoke Mandarin. Yeah, he wanted to change his life. That was his goal, and he did. And he wrote a book about it. Great book. And I was so inspired by this journey that he took. I mean, it's incredible, all the things that he did. And it's very entertaining as well. And so I wanted to do that. And the only way that I could see myself doing that was through study abroad in college, because I had never even been out of the country.
Sure.
And in order to study abroad, you had to take at least 3 semesters of Mandarin. So freshman year of college, I just jumped into it. I started taking the classes, and then my junior year, I ended up studying abroad. And I was technically in a Chinese immersion program at Peking University, but then after school, I'd bus across town to a different sports university, and I'd do martial arts there 5 days a week.
Oh my gosh.
And then after I finished my degree in the States, I ended up getting a scholarship from the Chinese government to go back to China to that same sports university and then do martial arts full-time there for a year.
Wow.
So I was in China. I was training, competing. I also ended up doing a few movies there.
Wow.
And then I came back to the United States, and I competed a lot for about 2 years. I did any tournament I could drive to, all throughout California. And I did one in Oregon, and as much as I could. And I did Taekwondo. I actually competed in Taekwondo too.
Okay.
In college, I was on the Taekwondo team, so we have so much in common.
All right. Well, both masters in our respective
exactly.
arts. Definitely. Yeah. Don't test me on that though. That is honestly incredible.
Thank you.
That story. You had such drive and focus even before you went to college, which I think is not always true of people. I don't know that I did. Well, just you're realizing like, hey, I want to like, I know I want to go to China and I want to study there. Like, these are the steps I need to take to make that happen, which, you know, jumping into language classes as a freshman and making those moves is, you know, it's pretty amazing. That discipline, I think you demonstrated through all of that, you know, continuing to practice your martial arts, your Kung Fu, as well as learning a language and then immersing yourself in an entirely new culture. That's pretty amazing.
Thank you. I remember one of the academic advisors when I wanted to sign up for Mandarin classes, she was like, "Are you sure? You know, that's hard."
Yeah.
But I don't know. I always had a lot of fun in the Mandarin classes.
Yeah.
I ended up switching my major to Mandarin, actually.
Wow.
Yeah. So when people ask me what my major was in college, they usually are pretty surprised.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know Mandarin was a major, so I just.
Well, it's East Asian languages and cultures, but
Okay,
you have
got it.
specialize in one language.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Okay. This man knows his stuff. All right. So, big background. That's a big part of your life. Thank you for sharing that. So now let's get into this, because you've got this background in martial arts, studying Mandarin, this experience being in movies, all these amazing things. And I want to know how improv ties into all of that. Where was the first time in your life where you heard about improv? Not necessarily the first time you did it, but just the first time you were exposed to it.
Oh, probably the first time I'd ever heard of improv. I think it must have been Whose Lines It Anyway? Either in elementary or middle school. I don't remember when. I know that in middle school at one point, I did like a theater classes, and one of our homework assignments was to go home and watch Whose Lines It Anyway.
Wow.
And so that was probably the first time I'd ever heard of improv. And then we ended up doing improv in that class too. I think we had like a guest teacher come in, and I loved it. It was just so much fun.
That's fantastic. And I mean, shout out that teacher for giving that homework assignment. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's really cool. So yeah, Whose Line, I think I know for me, that was definitely a big way I learned about improv as well, just initially. And then getting to try it out in middle school, sounds like there was a guest teacher that came in. Really amazing, really amazing. So your improv journey started in middle school then. And then where did you go from there? Did you do more improv in high school? Did it lay dormant for a little while? What did that look like?
Yeah. I loved it from the first time I started it. And then in high school theater, we also had like a guest teacher come in. We did a little unit on improv.
Oh, nice.
And then in college, I took one improv class for a semester. So that was a lot of fun too. You know, we did a class performance at the end of the semester, and I really enjoyed it. But I was very involved in the martial arts. And then eventually I got back into scene study classes, and I was really, really focused on that for years and years. And at one point I felt like, okay, well, I'm getting very immersed in this, and because I'm an actor, I wanted to stretch myself in a different way.
Yeah.
So I wanted to sign up for improv, but I wasn't quite sure where to do it. And actually, where I really started like the improv journey that led to IFTP was going back to USC. And this is really funny how things come full circle, because I found out somehow on Facebook about this improv troupe on campus that was doing like a free improv jam every Friday.
Ah, nice.
And at this point, I graduated 6-8 years prior.
Yeah.
But I would just drive to USC every Friday night, and it was like outdoors in front of one of the buildings, and I would just do improv with these guys and girls for an hour. And I did that for like 1 or 2 years.
Wow.
And flash forward till 2 months ago, and I was doing a show with Liam, who I did not know was at IFTP, but I had met him.
Guest of the podcast.
He was, guest of the podcast, Liam. He was a member of that improv troupe. So I had met him years ago, and then I ended up getting to perform with him.
Wow.
And it was super fun.
Yeah.
So after I did that for like a couple of years, then I started looking at various improv schools around LA. I audited several classes, and I found my way to IFTP. And I had planned to do it for like a month or two, just to get my feet wet.
Yeah,
wet. And once I started, I haven't stopped.
Wow.
I haven't been able to stop. I mean, because it's so fun. I don't even look at it as like a training ground or anything like that. I just love to do it now.
Yeah. Yeah. Just showing up like you did with those improv jams at USC. I mean, you were just showing up.
Yeah. Well, it's really the best case scenario when you have something that you love to do, but it's also going to help you in your vocation.
Okay. Tell me more about that. Tell me more.
I mean, because improv is, there's so many things that it opens up, but in my opinion, the goal of acting is to be improvisational, even if you have a script. I mean, because you can tell when you watch someone on film, you can see if they've planned out every single thing they're doing, or if they are able to get into a state where they have forgotten the entire plan and they're just coming up with things and just living. And, that people use and perhaps overuse the phrase "in the moment."
Yeah.
When you use phrases so much, it kind of starts to lose meaning, I feel like. But to me, what that means is that you don't know what you're going to say and do until you find it in the person you're talking to, in the situation that you find yourself in this particular scene, in this story. And that's exactly what you're doing in improv. So, getting used to being uncomfortable like that, getting used to coming up with things on the fly, I think it helps you access that same mode even when you have a script. And that's my goal with any form of acting, and it's easier said than done, of course.
Yeah, definitely. Wow. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I definitely agree. Improv is such an important skill set to have in any acting situation. You're on camera, working on a scene, you're doing a stage play, like just having those skills of being able to pull something in the moment, not knowing you're going to need it, but you have the skills and experience to back that up. That's fantastic. So your improv skills help with your acting work. And do you think there's been any crossover, just out of curiosity, between your improv work and your work in martial arts?
Yes and no. It's very interesting because a lot of acting teachers have asked me questions like that. And the martial arts style that I primarily competed in, I told you I did Taekwondo in college for several years, but my primary style was called Wushu. And that's a Chinese style that is related to traditional Kung Fu, but everything is bigger. Everything is more performance-based because it's a competition-style martial art where you do solo routines. And that's how you compete. And that's where the weapons come in because you do a lot of routines with many different styles of weapons. Jet Li was actually a champion in Wushu, and that's one of the reasons why he became successful in films is because it's a very presentational style. But in Wushu, everything is pre-choreographed, so there is no improvisation at all, unless something goes wrong, course, And actually, typically, if something goes wrong in a lot of these competitions, it's like figure skating. You've lost. The moment something goes wrong,
like the judges
lost.
know.
Although, not every judge knows your routine. So there have been times where I've improvised during my routine and I still won. But I would say after my competition career, then I went back to Taekwondo and I started getting more involved with that again. And that involves a lot of sparring. Now in sparring, you do have to improvise a lot. And it's interesting because you might go in with a technique that you want to execute. Okay, I'm going to use this technique. But if your opponent throws a different technique or if the distance changes, you have to completely and immediately change your strategy. Because if you go in with this technique that's not appropriate for the situation that you're in, you'll probably get hit. So you do have to, it's really interesting. On one hand, you have to commit, but on the other hand, you have to be ready at the drop of a pin to improvise and completely change whatever you're doing. So it's not high stakes insofar as that you typically wear protective gear and stuff, but it is high stakes in the fact that, you could get hit and, things can happen.
Yeah. Okay. So I really love what you were talking about there, this idea, right? You're going and you're committed, right? You're sparring. You better be committed. But you're also having to respond and adjust in the moment, right? Because you don't know what's going to come back at you from your opponent. And I think Same thing is true in improv in a way, right? When we're in a scene with a scene partner, we don't know what they're going to throw at us, and we can try and plan ahead, to an extent, but at some point something's going to come our way and we just got to accept it and roll with it, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. At the same time, like we're saying, if you wait to commit thinking something's going to come your way, he who hesitates is lost, right? So you have to fully commit, but then you have to be ready to pivot because there's new information, there's new people, and if something happens, you might even need to change what you're doing and the information that you've been given, or as Matt always tells us, to address what happened. Okay, I said this person's name, but it was this name, and all right, let's go towards that. Instead of trying to ignore it, let's move to it and acknowledge it.
Yeah, using the information that's there, right? That your partner or opponent gives to you.
Well, it's interesting. Like in Mandarin, actually, the word for like fighting is 对打, which kind of means roughly translated, it kind of means like partner hitting. So there is that element of partnered collaboration even when you're fighting.
I like that.
And,
a lot.
As Bruce Lee said, he says, when the opponent expands, I contract. When the opponent contracts, I expand. So you have to find this partnership, even when you're going against somebody.
And the ebb and flow almost of the fight or of the scene.
Yeah, a lot of parallels here.
Wow, pretty crazy. No, but I love your insight on that and just making those connections, because I think just like your history and your story of like how you got here right now, I just am fascinated by like your experience of martial arts and improv and just this unique blend of skills and experiences that you have. So it's cool to see how it all weaves together in a way. Yeah.
And it's interesting because sometimes you don't even realize how it weaves together.
I believe it.
And then when you ask me a question, I think, oh yeah, well, I have been doing this in China, in the US, and this style and that form and that art. And it is. I mean, art, there's this book called, The Art Spirit by Robert Henri, and he says art is anything done well. And I believe in that. That's why, there's culinary arts. Yeah. There's performance arts. There's fine arts. There's martial arts, right? It's all a form of art.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. I think so often we try to define art, but I think it's a very simple and understandable way to put it. It's like, yeah, you're right. Like if it's done well, you can see it and you can recognize it and know that it's art. I think that's so true, and how it applies to all those different areas. I 100% agree. Because I think, what is art? But I've never heard that definition. My mind is blown right now.
Yeah, well, it's liberating, really, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because I think, I don't know, especially with something like improv, like you want it to be art, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes.
Yeah, and I like how in our scenes sometimes Matt will say, well, okay, it can be a dramatic scene.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be whose lines it anyway improv. It can be short form, it can be long form, whatever. We don't have to limit ourselves to this very specific conception. Or I was waiting for the chance to bring this up, and this is as good of an opportunity as any. I remember very specifically a scene you and I did together where I think we were working at Regal Cinemas. I don't know if I can drop a product placement here, but we were working at a movie theater. Yeah, shout out to now bankrupt Regal Cinemas.
Oh no, I'm devastated. I saw a movie there maybe a month ago.
That
didn't bring them out of the red.
I think it's go see one more maybe.
Oh,
and that'll help.
Okay. I'll see what's playing.
I don't know what was going on, but it was stuff like someone came into the scene and said, hey, do you guys know so-and-so? And I was like, no, I don't know that person. And then I was like, oh, that guy doesn't work here. And like all this stuff. And at the end, Matt said, you guys broke every rule of improv.
We did. Yeah.
Like,
I remember
you remember that?
Yeah.
And he said, if you go by like the textbook definition, that was like a terrible scene, but it was hilarious. And it somehow it worked, and, improv can be that too.
Yeah.
We did an exercise the other night. I think it was Jamie who said like, I want you to try as hard as you can to do a terrible improv scene and break every rule that you can. And they were hilarious and they were fun too. Yeah. And that was, I mean, we were still improvising, you know, we're still coming up with it as we were interacting.
Yeah, you just had that objective of like, I'm going to try and make a terrible choice, which I think in a way probably made some really good scenes.
It did. It was almost like anti-progression. Like this scene was moving, but it was moving backwards. It was very interesting. Yeah.
That is interesting. Okay. Well, circling back on that, I mean, I'm now like replaying that scene in my head as much as I can remember.
That scene was, I had so much fun in that scene. It was hilarious. And it was with Dylan, I think, too.
Yeah,
and he had his like hood up and he was being really weird.
Yeah, he came in and I think we had trouble defining who he was, if he was a customer or like our boss or something. Like
I remember at one point Matt said like, Dylan, turn out to the audience. And he just turned and looked at someone for like 10 seconds straight and just stared.
Oh, Dylan. Oh, man. All right. Well, I want to ask you, Sky, because I know you've been doing improv for a little while. You've got a lot of experience. I mean, going back to middle school. I want to ask you about 2 moments, if you can think, from your improv life, if you will. I want you to tell me about maybe your highest improv moment where you're like, yes, improv. And then maybe your lowest improv moment.
Okay. Interesting. I mean, there've been so many fun moments in improv, but I think one that just springs to my mind immediately was the first show I ever did with IFTP. And when I was in high school, I used to mess around with my friends and always do like this Nicolas Cage impression.
Oh, I love a good Nick Cage impression.
Yeah, who doesn't, right?
Yeah.
And so we did the first IFTP show that I was a part of, and that was when the theater was being renovated.
Oh, okay.
So we actually did it at the Santa Monica Playhouse.
Oh, yeah.
And Matt asked for suggestions from the audience, and someone suggested Nicolas Cage, and I just grabbed onto it and I ran with it. So we started out the show with these clap-ins, and I kept kind of coming back in and out of these scenes as Nicolas Cage. And then at the end, I remember one of these characters had like died. And so then I clapped him in for the next scene. And I was kind of doing my Cage impression and stuff. And he's like, what's going on? Where am I? And I said, I'm Nicolas Cage. Hi, welcome to hell. And we blacked it out right there. And it was just, perfect. And afterwards, everybody in the audience who came up, they just loved this Nicolas Cage thing. So that was a great first experience to perform with IFTP.
It's just like perfect set of circumstances.
Well, I know. Actually, have you seen that movie, Don't Think Twice?
I have seen that movie, yeah.
It reminds me, although in a different context, of when Keegan-Michael Key, he's going to do a show, and I think there's going to be someone from the Saturday Night Live equivalent. And so he starts doing all these characters that he's good at and just shoehorning them into scenes. Yeah. And this was like an example where that kind of, it worked in the structure, thankfully.
Yeah, because, I mean, it came from the audience, so what were you to do but accept it?
Exactly.
They gave you that gift. And thank you for giving us a little taste of Nicholas there. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. All right, so that's your highest improv moment. What would you say the opposite of that? What was your lowest moment?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I've been fortunate that I haven't had any moments in front of an audience that were really humiliating or devastating, but now that I have thought about it a little bit more, I actually do recall this moment that was in a class, and I was doing just a 2-person scene with somebody, and my partner brought up like some very like sensitive topic. How do I put this? I don't know. Should I just say it when he said? It's not.
Look, keep it anonymous.
Yeah. This person said something about like the Catholic Church and these types of abuse things. Got it. Which
pretty heavy. Yeah,
exactly. It can get heavy, and so I didn't really want to address that in a comedic scene. Yeah. And I also, you never know what people have been through in their lives. People who are watching. So I kind of tried to change the topic, and then I think this person maybe kept going with it, and then I was just completely lost, and I was just standing there, and I got really nervous, and then our teacher kind of ended the scene and talked to us, and I felt, I was, I don't know, because then the teacher was like, well, it got way more awkward when you backed away from it and tried to pretend like it didn't happen instead of just maybe yes anding, the and being the most important part because maybe it would move us somewhere else. Because I guess you could say I kind of negated it a little bit because I was trying to move away from it. And so that was like a very, I guess, you know, I'm the kind of person I can be hard on myself. I was disappointed in myself for not being able to move through that. And it was just a weird feeling, but then kind of to once again bring it around to what we're talking about right now. If I had worked with my partner, even if my partner and I were not on the same page, it maybe could have gotten us through that instead of trying to separate from my partner. That didn't help things.
Yeah, because by like saying like, whoa, this topic could be intense, I'm going to move us in a different direction, right? It's like, it's a decision. And I know I've been in a similar situation where I made that choice of let's try and move away this way. And it makes it pretty tough.
Yeah.
Okay. So I feel you there and good on you. But you stuck through the scene, you know, you didn't drop out.
No, that's true. I mean, at the acting school that I used to go to, they said never call cut on yourself. So I don't think, I've never done that at IFTP.
Yeah, no way.
But, you know, then our teacher blacked us out.
Yeah. You're like, look, yes. Okay, so I wanna touch back on something you said there, because these moments, right? These high highs and these low lows, and you had mentioned that in shows you feel like you've never really had a low. Do you think being in an improv show is easier than being in an improv class?
Well, I didn't say I've never had a low. I said I've never had the lowest low.
True. Not the lowest low in a show. Okay.
I mean, I remember even like 2 shows ago, I tried I did a religious joke, and it wasn't, I think it was kind of, it was not necessarily the religiosity of it. It was like too specific. Sometimes if you do things that are really, really specific references, which I do on occasion in my personal life as well as in improv, and you know, people are not going to understand that if they haven't watched a million movies or something. But you know, I was with Liam, and he actually did the thing where he acknowledged it, right? And then added to it, and then he got a laugh. And then we moved on, so it actually turned out okay. But I remember going back to like my little stool and thinking like, wow, you know, okay, that maybe wasn't the best topic choice or reference to be making. It just didn't make sense really. But in terms of what's easier, you know, the energy is way higher for a show. And so, in some ways, maybe a show is easier. Because it almost feels like everybody's on the same page. You know, you never know when you're doing a class. People could be coming from work. People could be, you know, having things going on in their lives and whatnot. But when people come together for a show, everybody knows why they're there and they know what they're there to do. It's usually on a weekend. I think that probably helps. Who knows?
100%, yeah.
But the energy is always so high that there's kind of a sense of community instantly, even with people that I've never even met. There's been times I've done shows with people I've never met before. And it just worked, you know?
That's awesome. Yeah, just, I think like you said, there's that energy coming on the weekend. Everyone's buying in, right? Like the audience is like, yeah, see some improv. Exactly. Everyone who's in the show is like, we got to do a show. We're here for some improv. And I think just that idea of like everyone buying into that, brings something different than in a class where, like you said, it's the unknown circumstances of everyone in the room. And, you know, there's not that pressure of an audience being there.
Yeah. And you know what? It's hard to get your energy up every class, every weeknight. And so when you have that thing you're looking forward to, that makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's good that we have both, you know, both those spaces to like play in.
That's true.
I think shows are when it all comes together. Hopefully you're like, wait, I did this in class. You know, I put in this time, these reps. And then in class, you know, that's a space where you want to fail hard. You want to tank and like have those moments of learning and experience because it's safe. You can. And, you know, I've had, so many times where class are like you sit back down in your seat and you're like, well, that was a scene, but you know, it's okay. That's why you're there.
But you're always committed. That's what I love. And I feel like, well, from what I've seen you always bring the energy too. And commitment and energy goes a long way. And well, in anything in life, right? But definitely in improv, even if people are saying things that don't make sense or whatever, if you're committed to whatever you're saying, and you're bringing energy, you know, physically or emotionally, vocally, right? It automatically just lifts everything.
I agree. All right. Very nice. Very nice. All right. So we know about your improv experience, your highs and highs, your lows and lows. What impact would you say do you think that doing improv or participating on improv has had in your life, whether your personal life? I know you talked about your vocation a little bit, right? So I guess, how have you seen that translate just over the years, you know, going back to middle school even?
Yeah, I remember this moment actually in college, that was the first time where I ever committed to an improv class. And we would kind of, you know, be doing like freeze tag or whatever. Yeah. And I would be getting these ideas like, oh, you know, I want to come in here, like see that position, I'm going to come in there and do this. And then I would ask myself, oh, wait a second, is that a good idea? And then someone else would go in and I'd miss it. Yeah. And that would happen again and again for the first few weeks. And then finally I said, okay, look, whatever, I'm just going to do it. I don't care what happens. And I did it and everybody laughed. And so then I said, okay, well, I'm going to try that again. And I did it again and it worked again. And, you know, people didn't laugh every single time, but it was like a pretty high success rate when I wanted to do something and I just trusted myself to go in there and do it. And it was a very liberating realization that, okay, if you don't second guess yourself, then you're much more likely to succeed. Yeah. And you're also much more likely to have fun. And then when you're having fun, you're more likely to succeed. So it's kind of this cycle that propagates itself. Yeah. So that was a very concrete realization. And by the way, when you have a realization like this, that doesn't mean you're going to be perfect at it for the rest of your life. Because there's so many times where I've said, what's going on? Why am I just, no, I don't think I should do that. You know? And I have to remind myself, and it's not even in the moment, it's after class or it's the next week. I remind myself, okay, wait, remember this is a class, or even if it's a show, okay, it's a show. We're going to be doing more shows, right? This is not the last show of your life, and your life ends if it doesn't go well in one bit. So that was something that was very impactful. I don't know if I forgot your question. I'm not sure if that even answered it.
Yeah, no, you're definitely on it there. Yeah, just
my life
impact on your life. Yeah,
the impact on my life. Well, right there, just not second guessing yourself.
Yeah, so I think that's huge.
Yeah, you know, you can't second guess yourself in an athletic competition. You can't second guess yourself. You won't score a point, or you won't, stick the landing, whatever it may be. But also, improv's made me a lot more collaborative. It's made me, I think, just not only willing to, but wanting to collaborate with people. Because in improv, you realize that you can make something with anybody. Yeah. Especially at this school, which is one of the things I love so much about it, is that not every single person at this school wants to be on Saturday Night Live. You know, people just love improv, and they come from all kinds of different backgrounds. They come from all kinds of different careers, and they jump in and they're really talented. And so, okay, I want to work with that person. I want to work with that person too. And these are people, sometimes you don't even know them, or they, work in fields you've never even heard of. And here we are, we're doing a scene together, and I want to do it with everybody. Yeah. Isolate that sound bit.
Yeah. Put that on Instagram.
I'll get in trouble.
Yeah, but I love that point where you said it makes you want to collaborate more, and then just you have this ability in improv, right? You can collaborate with almost total strangers. I think that scene you referenced earlier between you and I, the Regal Cinema scene.
Yeah,
Regal, hang in there. I'm pretty sure that was maybe the first time we met, or I think I'd only seen you maybe a couple times around the studio.
Yeah. It was definitely like the first or second time I had done a class with you, and it might have been the first scene that we've ever done.
Oh, I think it might have been. I'm trying to remember. I'm dusting off the cobwebs.
I know it was you and your roommate, I think.
Oh, he's Tyler. Yeah, him and I used to be roommates. Future podcast guest, maybe.
Future podcast, yeah. You guys were hilarious together. He's really committed too. Yeah, and you guys had a similar energy at that time when I would watch you do scenes.
Yeah, it's quite fun. Just because, we were roommates for a while, so we love jumping into scenes.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I think, wow. Also, thank you. Yeah,
man. I mean, like whenever I see something that somebody does that I like, I try to ask myself, okay, 1, what are they doing? 2, what do I like about it? 3, how can I do it?
Yeah.
So if it's
That's how
that,
you get better. That's how you learn.
yeah, I'm always, even in things that I like. I mean, I watch movies and I love watching movies, and I'm analyzing just about every single movie that I watch.
Yeah.
What do I like about this movie? What I have done differently in this movie? And
The
it's
performance, the story choices, all those things.
absolutely everything, the score, the editing, whatever it may be. And so I do that in class too. And I see things, mostly it's when I see things that people do and I think, oh, wow, that was really interesting how that person just made it such a bold choice, or that person went really big with something or whatever, I love watching that. And I love then thinking, okay, let's go to the next scene, Sky, and let's just go, whatever comes to my mind, just like jump into it, right? Or sometimes for me, Matt said this the other day, it's like, don't be the first one to do something, Sky. And I've had times where that was super fun and something came out of that.
Yeah. I like that. Don't be the first one to do something. Oh, that's an interesting.
It's different for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, but I like that. I'm going to tuck that. All right. That's very cool. Wow. Okay. So what do you think, or where would you like improv to take you next? Because it sounds like, it's something you want to keep working on, you keep studying and just keep showing up just for the fun, for the play. But is there something you hope to learn or take away or help you in a future career move, in a future life move? What does that look like? What's next in your improv journey?
Well, I don't think I've ever told this to anybody.
Oh, okay.
So this is a breaking news exclusive on Improv for the podcast.
Oh, okay.
I would love to host Saturday Night Live one day.
Ooh.
I've never said that, but hey, speak it into existence, right?
Yeah, and visualize it, right?
And it's I don't, to be honest, well, I don't know if this will hurt my chances. I don't watch a ton of Saturday Night Live, but what I do watch,
You won't tell.
is yeah, right? No, yeah. We just edit that one snippet out.
cut that.
What I like to watch, actually, let me rephrase that right in a positive. What I like to watch on Saturday Night Live is when there is an actor or actress who I like and I respect and I enjoy their work, I go and I like to see all the things that they're in. And sometimes I think, oh, wow, that was so incredible. Oh my goodness. And sometimes I'm like, wow, I'm actually kind of surprised because, that person is such a great actor and maybe they were thrown for a loop a little bit with this improvisation. So since we've done these shows and everything, I mean, I love to perform in general. I love to improvise and I think it would be a total blast. So that might be a few years down the road, but that's something I'd really, really like to do with improv. And I know it's not totally improvised, but there's an element of that too.
Yeah, I mean, it's live television at the end of the day. So there's, you're going to have to improvise something.
As for like more in the short term, I think I just want to more and more develop the relationship to myself where I just trust whatever comes to my mind. You have to have that element of self-trust, in any field, right? But especially in acting, because when the camera rolls, if you're second guessing yourself, then the camera's going to see that you're not fully engaged. Your mind is somewhere else. And I think you shrink, So just to completely trust myself to be able to do whatever I need to do.
Yeah.
And that's exactly my goal with improv, is just to say, okay, well, I'm not here for a result. I'm here just to do whatever happens and immerse myself in that.
I really love that. And I think just hearing you say like that idea of like, if you don't know what you want or don't know what you're going to do, it's going to show up on camera.
Oh, yeah.
I know. I haven't done some scene study classes. I've seen that show up in my own face.
Well, we all have.
That one hits home. I'm like, dang, yeah. That's a really important observation, I think, and just that idea of trusting your gut. It's easy to say, but how often do we actually do it?
Yeah,
just go with it. All right. Well, Sky, thank you just for sharing your improv lessons that you've learned, telling us a little bit of history about yourself. And I think what I want us to remember, from our conversation, and for those of you at home, just thinking about the idea of being able to collaborate, with anyone. Someone shows up, you want to collaborate with them, right? This idea that improv can help you get to that point. And being able to just on a whim, trust your gut, make decisions. That's a huge thing, something I'm working on too. I think it's easier to do in improv than in life. I will say that.
That's true. Well, some people it's easier for them to do in life than in improv.
I know, and good for them. But that's something I want to keep in mind. And this idea of, whether we're in a fight or an improv scene, or maybe just a conversation with a friend, this idea of, observing and taking in what they're saying versus already planning where I'm going to go before I know what's going on.
And being able to pivot and adapt any moment when you have to.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. I mean, that's a universal skill right there.
Yeah.
Definitely. So thank you for that wisdom. Now, Sky, are you ready to play some improv games with me?
I have been ready, Michael.
Okay. Ooh, been ready. All right. Well, let's see what we got here for you, Sky, today. So we're going to be playing a few games this evening. And for this first game, pretty simple one, we're going to be playing a scene-based game called Questions Only. And in this game, you and I will play through a scene. We can only ask each other questions to progress the scene.
Okay.
And I'll give us a suggestion of a relationship before we begin, just because, the live studio audience couldn't make it tonight. So, we got to help ourselves out. And, just at some point, I'll black out the scene and then we'll move on to our next game. So our relationship, and, we'll figure out who is who once the scene starts. Again, questions only. Priest, sinner. Oddly topical.
This is perfect. My moment of redemption, shall we say?
Well, we'll see how the scene goes. All right. So the game is questions only. We have priest-sinner relationship. Here we go. Father, may I confess something to you?
Son, have you ever had to ask me that?
Many times over the years. I don't know why I'm scared of you.
I'm not sure why you come in here every day. And I'm wondering what it is that you've been meaning to tell me.
Well, Father, I guess that's what I'm asking myself.
I want to know what is on your mind. I mean, will you tell me what is on your mind? What is on your mind?
What is on my mind? Father, is it a sin to order DoorDash delivery?
Is the food that you ordered less than 2 blocks from you?
I'm not sure the exact distance, but it was very close. Is that wrong?
Is the food that you ordered a casual dining chain?
Father, is it a sin to DoorDash fast food that's less than 2 blocks away?
My son, did you think by asking this question that you would be absolved of your sin of ordering Chipotle that's across the street from your apartment?
I was hoping you might forgive me for my sloth.
My son, did you think that I have not been seeing you opening your door and accepting a DoorDash delivery of a sofritas burrito bowl every night for the past 2 weeks?
You saw the DoorDash delivery verification photos.
My son, did you think that the Ring camera on the front of the church was broken?
What must I do to absolve myself of my sins?
Have you thought about switching to Taco Bell?
Blackout! Oh man, I forgot what questions were there. I was like, wait, questions. So you held solid.
Well, I think we both forgot what a question was for a second. I haven't played that game in a long time.
Yeah, no, I was like, this will be an easy one. And then we were in it, and I was like, oh man.
Bringing it home at the end.
Yeah, just, it's fun to play a game that just breaks one of the most basic rules of improv. Just every line. I
Good
love
point.
It. Just let's just break the rule back and forth for several minutes.
Yeah.
Great. And, thank you for your forgiveness as well. That might be a sin I have committed somewhat recently, but we don't need to get into the details.
I think everybody's done that in the last 2 years at least once.
Yeah. Maybe even today. But
Who knows, right?
knows?
All is hypothetical.
Yeah. No, that would be crazy. All right, so for this next game, Sky, we're going to be playing, it's called Speech. And you have to do that when you say the name of the game.
Oh, okay.
I just made up that rule. That's a new rule.
I like it.
So in this game, Speech. That won't get old. Oh, in this game, you are going to be tasked with giving the speech of your lifetime, essentially, to convince me to do something or to say something.
Okay.
We don't know what that is yet. We're going to find out. We will get a suggestion. But again, this game is called Speech.
That's fantastic. And you know what? You're so nimble moving around the microphone when you do that.
I know. I didn't practice, but I am really trying to be cautious.
Yeah, you improvised.
You are a centaur, and I have invited you to prom, and you want to get out of it. So you're trying to convince me to not go with you to prom. You're a centaur. All right, here we go. Let's play some speech. All right, and whenever you're ready, Sky.
Hey, man, life as a centaur, it's no easy picnic in the park, man, and you think you want to live with that? It's your high school prom, man, you ever seen a horse? You ever seen a horse going down the street at a parade with policemen riding them? And you know what they do, man? They poop right there on the street. You got to have a little man with a shovel cleaning up after him. That's you at prom, man. If you bring me, you know what's going on. I just poop out my horse butt. The whole night I'm going to be pooping, and it's real big horse turds. It's not little small human log turds, man. No, it's real big roly-polies, man. They stink, and I can't even get a tux to fit this, brother. I got to just go, man, with, everything hanging out. You could get in real big trouble for that, man. Jeffrey. I mean, graduation's coming up. Could get expelled, man. Could get expelled on prom night because your date has been arrested for indecent centaur public exposure, and that could be a real bad press clipping to add to your college resume.
Well, those are quite a laundry list of reasons you don't want to go to prom with me, Jeffrey.
Man.
Well, would you be willing to dance with me, slow dance on the dance floor?
Oh man, centaurs, we don't really dance. I mean, we got four horse legs and then 2 human arms, and the left and right brain don't compute it, and you getting all tangled up and falling down, breaking a hip, and just send us to the glue factory, man. So my death is on your hands, brother. My blood is on your hands tonight.
Oh, well, Jeffrey, I really wanted to go to prom with you, but I don't want to kill you. Boy, you've put me in a tough position here.
I'm dead if I go to prom with you.
No, Jeffrey, I'm sure you'll be all right. Well, what if, we skipped out on prom and we could go somewhere else? Where would you want to take me, Jeffrey?
Feed store.
Blackout! Oh my goodness. Was that a little bit of Harry Carey in there?
You know what? Well, I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. That's kind of, in my mind, it's more Gary Busey.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But someone else asked me if it was Harry Carey too.
Yeah. I just thought, you've seen that SNL sketch?
I have. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. That's classic.
Yeah. This talks about the moon. Oh man. It's like, what if it were made of ribs? And I can't do the voice, but okay. But now that you've said Gary Busey, I can. That clicks. All right. Well done. You came up with a lot of good reasons not to go to prom with a centaur.
Thank you.
You don't often think about that. That suit situation that's pretty serious. I think that could pose some problems.
You know what? I almost wanted to do a Nicolas Cage impression.
Oh.
Because I remember years ago, my mom sent me this little cartoon from the New Yorker, and it was a centaur on his phone with his agent.
Yeah.
And he was saying, right now they say the role is between me, a guy with a horse head and a human body, and Nicolas Cage.
Oh my gosh. That's an amazing comic.
Yeah.
Oh, that's incredible. Oh yeah, yeah. That's like you got to throw that on the fridge, Just keep that as a reminder.
I wonder. Yeah, I don't think I still have it. I'm sure it's on Google Images somewhere.
Now, random question, but if a horse were to wear pants, or no, not a centaur were to wear pants, would the pants go on the front or the back?
I'm pretty sure it would go on the back.
Yeah, but would they? I'm not sure.
Well, you know what? I think the answer lies in your imagination, and no answer you give is wrong, Michael.
I like that. I don't want to be wrong about horse pants.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I think I'm going to Google horse pants when I get home and see what I can find, but maybe not. Spoil the mystery. All right. We've got one more game for us today, Sky, and I'm excited to see where this one goes. So in this game, it's called One Up. So our objective in this game is that you and I are going to attempt to just one-up each other, whatever that looks like. And we're going to try and build slow, not immediately go to, I'm the dictator of the universe and you have no rights, nothing, simmer until we get to a rolling boil. All right. And we will get a suggestion of a starting location for this game, which can be helpful. All right. So we are in a cave. It's our starting location.
Love it. I think about cavemen a lot, actually.
Oh,
so
okay. You've done your homework.
Yeah, I've been preparing for this.
All right.
My whole life.
Well, I don't think about cavemen or cave women or cave anybody. So we'll do our best. So this game is called One Up. Sky and I are going to slowly one up each other. And our location is a cave. Here we go.
This dirt. It's nice. I like it. It's mine.
Yeah, Agnar, that's some pretty nice dirt you got over there, but not gonna lie to you, my pile of pebbles that I've been sleeping on, pretty good for my lower back pain.
Tukaz, I do enjoy the sight of your pebbles, but I have here a small pile of leaves, and as we know, leaves come from the plant world, living things. Undeniably superior.
Yes, it is known. It's known. But Agnar, I noticed that my pillow that I have over here, next to my pile of pebbles, my pillow, you know what it's made of? It's made of rat's fur. Pretty swanky pillow to rub my face upon each night as I lay down on my pile of pebbles. I feel sorry for you, Agnar, that you don't have a rat skin pillow.
Oh, what I would give for a rat skin pillow.
Much and more.
I asked myself that question every night. Every night as I went to bed. Until I got a pterodactyl's wing for my blanket. And I never asked myself for a rat skin pillow again.
Pterodactyl wings are the finest of blankets, and the rarest, too. It is known, yes, amongst the tribes. How I envy thee for thy blanket. But, I'm glad you have some small comforts, I suppose, because, I often find myself dining on a roast rack of spiders for dinner. Yes, I go out into the woods and I hunt down myself 8 to 10 spiders, those massive spiders, and I put them up on a skewer and roast them over the fire. And my goodness, if their thoraxes aren't delicious. My mouth is watering. Sorry that you didn't get to taste one of my delicious spiders for dinner this evening.
In truth, Tukaz, my mouth does water too. At the thought of your roasted spiders.
Thank you, Agnar. I'm quite the chef.
Any meal in your cave is a boon of infinite beneficence.
Wow.
But I too have a meal in the cave, and I've prepared for myself the spleen of a woolly mammoth, the most delicate part of a mammoth's body, and its deliciousness is beyond compare.
Well, I've heard the spleen of a woolly mammoth is delicious, but frankly, I have IBS, so I tend to stay away from mammoth spleens. 'Tis no matter, because I do don the finest cape when I go out and tread through the land. When I leave the cave, I like to throw on my human skin cape. Yes, it's actually made of my cousin Snicholas. Yes, I have a cape made from him. He's always with me, covering and watching my back, and I doubt you wouldn't see a finer cape out there. So I may not have Mammoth spleen, but I've got a Snicholas skin cape.
What a cape that is. It is indeed quite fetching on you. In fact,
yes,
I think I have just invented the wheel, and I will use my wheel to go to the neighboring tribe where my cousin lives, and I'll kill him to make a cloak as well.
Wow, that's an impressive invention. Your mind is, so good for those small tasks of inventing wheels and things like that. Good for you, Ugnar. Good to put your little brain, to something that can benefit our society. Well, meanwhile, I've just recently been elected as a supreme chief of the local system of caves. I'm the Cave King, is what they're going to call me, the Cave King. And, I take upon this title with humility. And please, if there's anything I can do for you as your leader, let me know.
That is certainly a generous offer.
Yes, of course.
As Cave King.
That is me. Thank you, Ugnar.
I have recently formed an alliance with the saber-toothed tigers of the land.
Oh, dear.
And I am able to ride them and call them at will. And I have proceeded to conquer all wildlife in our domain. So I will tell them that from now on we will respect your sovereignty, but that I am the ultimate ruler of this land. Yes.
Wow. Ugnar, that is impressive that although you could not unite humans, you could unite some animals. Pretty cool for you, I suppose. But I'll have you know, I have just recently taken to wife the queen of our neighboring tribe, the Thumbsticles. Yes. And we have now joined our houses, and I have 4 children because of it. Yes, the Thumbsticles. I have wedded the queen of the Thumbsticles, and together we have a family of 4 young heirs. So prosperity is well taken care of for me, the Cave King.
Tukaz, that is fantastic.
Yes, thank you.
I'm so happy for you. It reminded me to tell you that I recently befriended a time traveler, and I too have wedded her. She was attracted to my hairy yet lithe cave body with the natural physique of an Olympic athlete. Wow. And we too have produced offspring. A woman from the future is my wife.
Blackout. Oh, man, yeah. I was going to have a tough time beating that, dude.
Well, I know. It was hard to one up some of yours.
A future woman, what can you do? I appreciate your alliance with the saber-toothed tigers. I realized I've been watching a lot of House of the Dragon lately.
Oh, so they got cave kings
marry
there?
our houses, and I was like, oh no, that's not even, we were talking about caves, but I get really into it. So, and I think there's a part of me that goes like, could I talk like they do, in those like medievally, like using all those words and things like that.
You could do it.
Thank you. All right. That's all I need. I'm going to try it tomorrow at work.
There you go.
Yes. Bring me a flagon of ale. And my coworker won't know what to do. And maybe I'll get to visit HR so they can hear the amazing comments I'm giving out to everyone.
Yeah, they'd love that.
I'll try. I'll let you know how it goes. Tune in next week. We'll see how it is. Well, with that, Sky, thank you so much for joining us on Improv for the podcast. Any final words you want to leave us with before we conclude today's episode?
If you have an opportunity to do improv, do it. You won't regret it.
All right. Thank you, Sky Liam Patterson, for joining us this week. We'll be back next time with another episode of Improv for the podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. See you next time. Improv for the podcast was created by Matt Moore and Michael Lee Evans. Edited and produced by Michael Lee Evans. And finally, presented by Improv for the People. Interested in more IFTP? You can visit us at improvforthepeople.com or on our socials, such as Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube. Remember, new episodes are released weekly. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.